And our final topic for this week's Line Panelists is about jobs. We talk about jobs a lot around this table and around the state. And this week, the Albuquerque Journal reported that many businesses here in New Mexico may have at least one position they're struggling to fill. But the reasons why are complex. And Inez, what did you make of that New Mexico job vacancies survey story that was out from that the Journal covered this week? Go ahead and explain that a little bit for the folks watching home in case they didn't see it. But that was very disturbing, it seems to me. What was your take on that?
Well, it's interesting in a state that leads the country in unemployment that then you say employers can't fill jobs.
Right.
And I think what struck me the most is that little line, and they said the data didn't quite support it, that it was widespread. It was that New Mexico employers are requiring like higher degrees, more experience than other employers. So I think we always blame the job seekers.
Right.
And I read that and I thought, well, maybe employers should look for different things and different skills. And maybe you don't have to drug test everybody if they're not going to be operating heavy machinery, because you can't test if someone's drinking 5 martinis a night.
That's right.
You know,
That's
and
right.
going to work hungover the next day.
That's right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a fair point. And Dan, you know, it's interesting when you think about the difficult position that employers are in here. There's no doubt. And what Inez brought up, this idea of ticking up the qualifications to try to scare up a better employee, so to speak, that's indicative of a sign of what's out there in the job market, it seems to me. Because if they don't want to meet what's out there at a street level, how can you blame an employer for trying this tactic? Do you see what I mean?
Right.
It's a difficulty.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think maybe one of the challenges here, there are a lot of specialized jobs, certain industries that,
Right.
one of my takeaways too from the story was, that maybe some of these job training programs, whether it's community colleges or, there seems to be kind of a gap a little bit there, maybe not, getting folks ready for the jobs that are out there, because clearly it's a changing economy, and New Mexico is not going to be, bouncing back to the pre-recession state it was anytime
right.
soon. But that was,
That's
one thought I had.
That's right. Elaine, when you think about this idea of qualifications, that's fine. But more qualifications than other states? In a state that has a lower threshold of college of educational attainment? Something seems out of skew there. Like, does that goal really work in your view?
That was one of the things that stuck out to me as well from that article, that New Mexico employers are asking for more experience than other employers for the same jobs.
Right.
For the same jobs.
That's right.
And one of the things that was pointed out was that maybe the employers are trying to get at something else
Right.
with those required qualifications.
Sure.
And it occurs to me that the way that I've done a lot of hiring at KUNM, and maybe the way that we are describing jobs and posting jobs and describing minimum qualifications, maybe we need to evolve a bit, because what are the best job descriptions that you've ever seen, right? They're the ones that are like funny and creative, and they really kind of give you a feeling for what that place is and how that place is to work and what kind of people they're looking for above and beyond your minimum education and experience requirements. So, maybe there's room there.
But what you're describing is something employers have gotten their arms around in other places a long time ago, that there are intangibles out there. When you sit down and interview somebody, you're looking for something that's beyond paper, that's under your nose, right? That's a difficult thing to do in this world. Yeah. But Andy, let me have you talk about this too. The idea that New Mexico graduates, the folks that we perceive, the ones to kind of rescue us a bit here, we're losing them. They're leaving our state. What's going on there?
Well, it's hard to say, but I think any kind of graduate in the tech industry, engineering, science, there's limited jobs here. I mean, of course, we always say there's labs, there's stuff here, but the pay and the experience to go other places, and I think they may come back, but it's not necessarily the best situation. If you're the top of your class at UNM, you're going to look all over the country, maybe even the world, for a tech job that we have been struggling to find here. I mean, year after year, it's like, how do we get those tech jobs here? And it's always a debate on what to do to get those companies.
I've always felt like we are in a difficult position here. The constellation around us, from Phoenix to Denver to Boulder to Austin, that little umbrella that goes all, that's where everyone's going out of state. We're very pressurized that way. But we've also not been able to fill construction jobs and things that don't require advanced degrees and such. Any thoughts on what's going on there? I mean, folks are out of work, they're looking for work, but we can't quite get the hiring going here in New Mexico. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, not to change the subject too much,
Please.
but when I noticed that, the first thing that pops into my head was recent layoffs of newspaper, of reporters in the state. So it's like this weird dichotomy of you've got journalists just struggling to find a job and to find a living wage.
Right.
And then on the other side, you've got people that are really good paying construction jobs and they just can't fill them. So it's kind of interesting to me.
Yep. Thank you all. Great Friday night. Glad you're all here. Reporters, good fun. Love it.